Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Reuben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tundun from a distance.
I know, right?
Well, let's start the newspaper review with this. The newspapers. Lead story, ministers to take test as COVID-19 bites harder. Spreads to 8 states. Infects Prince Charles. Osinbajo test negative. With cases rising to 51, more governors self-isolate. Federal government direct Pharmaceutical Research Institute to identify herbal medicines active against pandemic. Vote 16.5 billion to curb spread. CBN directs non-critical staff to work from home. Dangote banks to provide medical tents. Urge government to allow private labs conduct tests. Yes, of course, Nigeria, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control is to conduct tests on ministers to determine their status following their contact with some of the confirmed COVID-19 cases, according to information reaching this day newspaper. No fewer than 5 governors have also gone into self-isolation as a precautionary measure to prevent the spread of the virus following their close proximity to some infected persons, especially their colleague in Bauchi State, Senator Bala Mohammed, and of course the Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba, both of whom tested positive to the virus. But let's look how other newspapers are reporting some of these stories before we discuss them. Coronavirus, 4 governors in isolation as Kogi Rivers shut borders. Ekiti, Edo, Nasarawa, Niger governors in self-isolation. Total cases now 46, now it's 51. Now, a number of governors have gone into self-isolation, but not all governors are in self-isolation. Governor Obaseki of Edo State is in self-isolation. Governor Fayemi is also in self-isolation. Yaya Bello is in self-isolation. But according to the Daily Trust newspapers, many governors refuse to self-isolate despite their contact with persons that have tested positive to the virus, tested positive to this coronavirus. Now, El-Rufai chairs meeting, inspects markets, Inwa meets traditional rulers. Emmanuel, that's Emmanuel Odom, holds lunch fellowship. Zulum test negative, still going for inspections. Sule Yaya, Sani Obaseki, others in self-isolation. Yes, there was a directive or an advisory from Governor Kayode Fayemi, who is the chairman of the Governors Forum, that governors should go into self-isolation because many of them met with some of these persons who have tested positive. But according to this report, many of them seem to be going about their normal duty.
No, but can I just say, if Zulum has tested negative, then there's no need for him to be in self-isolation. Why is he in this story?
No, that he is one of those who have tested negative. That's Zulum test negative. Still going for inspections. That's what the story says. But again, there are those who have tested negative need not be in isolation anymore. Like the governor of Ogun State, who attended a party in London.
That party?
Yes, we'll come to that party, where 2 persons who attended that party had already died from coronavirus.
I mean, horrendous.
Well, so much for parties abroad.
Horrendous.
Yes.
So
we were told that that party was on March 14, or thereabouts. So if indeed there were persons there who were exposed, then they should still be in self-isolation by
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Because the self-isolation should be for a period of 2 weeks.
Yes.
And as for the governors that have tried to take the test, I think that we should commend them. But again, we also know that depending on your time of exposure, it may be necessary for some of those persons who may have tested negative to take the test again, maybe after a week, and to try to take the test again, maybe in another 2 weeks, just to be sure. And they should not be the only ones that should, be tested.
But you test positive when your symptoms are showing. You can still test positive if you're asymptomatic. So my feeling is that once you've been exposed to that person,
Yes.
whether or not you're symptomatic, if you test negative, then you're negative, unless you've been exposed to more people. Is that what you're saying? Who might have the
Well, I'm just saying,
disease.
maybe it's advisable to repeat the test.
True.
If they had continued exposure.
Yes, just to be doubly sure.
Oh, dear.
But in any
So
case, what is important is everyone taking necessary precautions. Whether you are a governor or you are, an ordinary citizen. I mean, look at the United Kingdom. The Prince of Wales, tested positive. And that
Because
was
he
in the
continued
news
working
yesterday.
in spite of government guidelines. And I have to commend our Arise family. When was the Arise Fashion Week? When was it postponed?
Yes. long time
Yes,
ago.
you must do the needful. You have to listen to government directives. You cannot continue acting business as usual in the face of a pandemic. Parties should be cancelled, events should be cancelled, church services have been cancelled, like you were saying on Sunday. We all have
for
to
your
do this.
information, you can't have more than 25 persons in church. On
No,
Sunday.
in my church, we have also cancelled our church activities for now. We'll do virtual service.
Yeah, so kudos to those of you.
So we'll all link up from wherever
you
we
are.
The headquarters,
Yes.
we just beam the church service to one another.
One famous pastor has been quoted as saying online that, the congregation should not forget to send their donations online, their tithes on Sunday. As your own church taking that additional step.
If you are committed to paying your tithes, Corona will not stop you, Reuben. You will know that you can transfer money once you have the faith to pay your tithe. Leave that alone.
Can we keep it about public health?
Let's leave that alone.
The issue is that we are critical of the youth. Yesterday, we were talking about youth continuing to act business as normal. An 80th birthday party, surely it could have been postponed. And look at what has happened now. We all have to take this seriously.
Let's look at that party properly. The Punch newspaper, London party. Attendees go into isolation as 2 guests died. Razak Okoya, Shegun Oshoba, Dakpo Abiodun, Bola Shagaya, Obe, others at Justice Oguntade's birthday. Doctors obtain Kyari's medical record from British hospital. Yes, those who are taking care of Abati, they had to send for his medical report from Wellington Hospital, St. John's Wood, London, because he had other medical conditions they also need to deal with. Now, this party, those who attended this party, is a long list. And our friend, our brother, Dele Momodu was also at that party. And, of course, he's been speaking. I can't confirm my status, Dele Momodu. He was at the party, and he said he cannot confirm his status as doctors refused to administer the test on him since he had not shown symptoms of the disease. So this is part of the problem. Somebody now is being denied testing.
I have a huge problem with that. The ministers that have been tested today, some of them don't have any symptoms and they've been tested, whereas these people have been exposed and they're not being tested. Why are there two standards
So
being
this is
applied?
an inherent problem in the system, that they are now being selective, perhaps because of the shortage of testing kits. I don't know. They are not being selective. That, okay, you have not shown symptoms, just hold on and just stay one in your...
That is very troubling.
Well, the testing kits that have been donated by Jack Ma should be distributed immediately. And then there are lessons we can also learn from the UK, where efforts have been made, to get more testing kits, even to the extent of trying to look for, testing kits that you can use at home yourself. You can test yourself and get results within a matter of hours, because testing is so important, in terms of being able to contain
Look at how
the
it's
spread
helped
of the
Germany.
disease.
Testing,
Germany has been saved by their mass
time
testing.
is of the essence.
Yes.
In this coronavirus
I'm really
containment.
troubled by this. Everybody
Yes.
who went to that
but
party
let's
should
also
be tested.
hear from others who
Even
attended.
persons who have not been exposed, who would like to be tested, should be allowed to take the test.
Yes.
You know, just to be sure.
That is...
Well, it is not that something that is not readily available.
That's the problem,
Should
it's
not
the
just be
shortage.
taken by anybody. You
It's
have
the
not been
shortage.
exposed. You just want to use it. Then when it gets to when we see people are exposed, we'll be looking for no. It shouldn't be that rampant that you have not been exposed and you just go, I want to test. No, no, no. It's not as simple as that. But those who have been exposed should be tested. But let's just hear from others who also attended that party. So that,
Okay.
I isolated myself, Bola Shagaya. You know, when I came back from the event, I isolated myself for some days, and observed if I would show any symptoms. But after a few days, according to her, without any sign of fever or cough, I came out of isolation.
I don't think that that's true because she's in isolation.
No, but she's saying she only isolated
I'm
for a
not
few
sure
days.
if she said that.
Well, she's been quoted.
Yes, that she's been quoted doesn't mean she said it.
Okay,
So.
you are just giving her the benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Now, Reuben, you were talking about the test kits that were donated to Nigeria. Yes. Landed in Lagos, evacuated, and flown to Abuja.
Awful.
When Lagos is the epicenter.
Totally awful.
So we don't have the logistics in place to even distribute it straight from Lagos.
And to act with a better sense of urgency. You know, we seem to waste time
Reuben,
with everything.
you know my fear now is that when this thing gets to Abuja, they want to distribute it on the basis of federal character, equality of states, whereas we don't have equality of cases.
So then we insist on full disclosure. Because there must be full disclosure, there must be transparency, there must be no attempt to hide anything, whether it's donated test kits or information. But we'll take a short break, Emmanuel Efeni, and we'll come back to you. We'll continue with the headlines shortly. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Still with us in the studio is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, who has been reviewing some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world. Emmanuel Efeni?
Yes, if we just look at the Daily Sun newspaper, still COVID-19, governors under watch as Edo Speaker tests positive. Obaseki, Fayemi Sule Bello in self-isolation. Now, this, our own spread seems to be at the high-profile spread. That's what seems to be different with the way this virus is spreading now in Nigeria.
Yes.
At the high-profile level. Perhaps people at that level have not done the needful.
No, it's people like that. It's the hubris. When you think you're above the rules,
Yes.
when you think you can go ahead with a party that can easily be postponed, it's silly behavior like that.
Yes. Now, let's go on to the Tribune newspaper. COVID-19, federal government released 10 billion to Lagos, 1 billion to pharmaceutical firms, 6.5 billion naira to NCDC, UN mobilizes 756 million naira for Nigeria. World Bank, IMF suspend Nigeria orders debt repayment. I think that should be some relief for those who are owing. Federal government slashes oil benchmark to $30 per barrel. Atiku pledges 50 million naira, 10,000 naira for each household. That should be music to some people's ears if this pronouncement was coming from the federal government.
I know, right?
But do we have a database of every household? If you were to say, because that, if we decide to go on further lockdown beyond what we are doing, then there are households that will definitely suffer.
The hardship will be
Yes,
severe.
because many households depend on what they make daily to survive. So when we decide to go on total lockdown, what happens to such families? Is there any contingency plan in place to reach such families?
Not that I've
To
heard.
reach even people who are self-employed.
Yes.
You know, self-employed persons are going to be terribly affected if they have to sit at home. In the UK, for example, this morning, the Chancellor announced plans, to support people who are self-employed, hairdressers, barbers, taxi cab drivers, that the government, the taxpayer, would provide for such persons about 80% of their recent earnings just to support them during this period.
Yes, because the government, they were under fire for not considering self-employed initially.
Canada.
Now they've brought them into the picture.
Yeah.
Canada.
What are we doing for our people who are self-employed?
Canada, which has announced $82 billion, stimulus package, is also sending money directly to people. We know about the U.S. economic stimulus package, giving 1,000 checks directly, $1,000 directly to about 150 million American citizens. So Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is asking for 10,000 for every household. But at the same time, he's also calling on the telecommunication companies in Nigeria to give free credit of about 1,500 to everyone on their network. And I think that is something, that the telcos can consider. It will be a good idea. It will be a way of making a contribution. Earlier on, I had listed some organizations that are also providing help. Anna Foundation, EcoBank, which is providing information. GIG Motors has even volunteered to donate vehicles to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. Aero Contractors has volunteered to provide helicopters and aircraft to help lift materials across the country to fight coronavirus. And we would like to see more people, coming forward, at whatever level. Even if it is test kits, you can donate. If it is sanitizer, that you can donate, because we are all in this.
But our guest yesterday, our youth ambassador guest, Julius Ilori, he mentioned that telcos should give free data. That was his point. And that is a good point. Now that the former vice president has said it, it's magnified that call, and I do hope that they listen to that.
Yes, Reuben, except that we don't have a coordination at the center from the highest level to mobilize Nigerians, those who can give what they should be donating towards. No coordination from the center. That is absent, Reuben.
Look, I think what they can do, this is not rocket science.
That is absent.
It is.
They should set up a situation room. There is already a presidential task force. There should be a situation room, not just in Abuja, but also in Lagos. And maybe another one in the east, maybe another one in the north, coordinated, where the key persons meet on a daily basis. Some people will be in charge of information, because even the communication process is very poor. People are just talking at cross purposes. This official says this. They're just dropping information in bits. If you have a situation room, you go out there and engage the public in a coordinated manner. And that was part of the reason I was asking for the National Orientation Agency in all of this. You can't overburden just 2-3 individuals. Then some people will be in charge of managing
logistics. 3 weeks ago, they said they're going to have jingles. I don't know where those jingles are.
That agency is moribund.
You can have another team managing logistics and coordinating, the situation rooms across the country. We just need to think more strategically. That's what we need to do. Because this week alone, the figures in Nigeria have almost doubled.
Yes.
Who says it will not triple next week? South Africa has 554 cases as you speak. They two started with 1.
Yes.
Algeria, I think, has 167 cases. Kenya, already from 1, has jumped to 28. So,
and Uhuru Kenyatta is on top of the matter, unlike our situation here.
We seem to have a weakened presidency as we speak.
Yes, we do.
The president not forthcoming. His main man Friday, his right-hand man, the person he delegates a lot of authority to, is down with COVID-19. The vice president, since the second term, has been given less assignment by the president. So we have a weak presidency, if you will. So where will strength come from to fight this coronavirus? We cannot leave everything to the health minister.
We have Boss Mustafa, don't we? His committee.
He's the head of the task force.
But really, we need direct. We continue. The buck stops at the desk of the president. He has to address the nation.
Well, if we just have some time, let's just look at what is happening in other parts of the world. The UK, some good news: mass testing kits, a game changer. Yes, Amazon and Boots could send out equipment that will show if people are immune to the virus, and that can be done in minutes. There's more than 3 million of such kits will be sent out soon. So that is some
it's
good
so
news.
Yes,
because it can be done quickly, and that is what is needed to contain this virus. Then, if you look at the Daily Mail, another good news for the people of UK, at last, some good news. That's how the Daily Mail puts it. A nation of heroes. They were NHS planning to recruit 250 over 1 week. In 1 day, they got over 500,000 applications. This is good news. Volunteers who want to help in containing the virus.
That's wonderful news.
An army of kind-hearted people.
That's really wonderful
Yes.
The display of public spirit. And that's what happens in a country where, you know, there is a sense of community. And this 500,000 will be joining another 11,000 volunteer medics who came out of retirement to join the NHS. And the effect of all of this, the attempt by the UK government to get mass testing kits to get, is that the death toll has gone down a bit in the last 1 week.
Yes.
There's up to about 445 deaths so far, but it's not been rising. It's been reducing.
Okay. If we have some time, let's go to the Wall Street Journal. Yes, Senate passes a stimulus package, the $2 trillion bill, which aims to blunt the pandemic impact, has been passed after bipartisan agreement. A lot of negotiation went into that bill. It's out and waiting for the House of Representatives.
The House has passed it.
Yes.
The Senate is now... No, the
No,
Senate
the
has
Senate
passed
passed
it.
it. It's going
House
to
of
pass.
Reps now.
And President Donald Trump is waiting eagerly to append his signature to that bill, which should reduce the impact on both corporate bodies, small businesses, and the ordinary Americans, which the Democrats were actually clamoring for.
And there's a clause in that bill that prevents government officials from taking advantage of this stimulus and
Yes.
sort of abusing the process by virtue of their position,
Yes.
which we should note in Nigeria because we have that tendency here.
Yes. But another story on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, Trump considers partial reopening. Trump is reopening another conversation. He wants the economy to get back to work as quickly as possible.
But he's been criticized for that.
Yes, because he's thinking of his election.
Well, he says,
lives matter more than
people
anything.
die from road accidents anyway.
That's a really crass thing to say. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Efeni.
Thank you
We
very
run out
much,
of time.
Emmanuel.